Healthy relationships don't withhold just to keep the peace, but anxious and avoidance or fearful avoidance or disorganized attachment styles do this, right? Anxious attachment withholds trying to keep an image that is keeping the peace through caretaking, through being lovable enough, by trying to grasp for more connection, more security, or more reassurance, trying to fix as quick as possible. And if fixing as quick as possible means brushing things under the rug or withholding their truth, they will maneuver around their truth, knowing what the other person probably needs or wants to hear, and withhold that to try to keep the peace. Avoidance, on the other hand, probably withhold a lot of their truth a lot of the time if it's going to mean conflict, because in truth, there's a bit of conflict that's actually really intimate, right? Us being in conflict means that two people are trying to share more of their truths or rubbing against each other's truths. And the intimacy, the rawness of that is incredibly dysregulating for somebody that is experiencing more of an avoidant attachment in a relationship. And so when an avoidant is wanting to keep the peace, they zip their lip and they brush a lot under the rug because the conflict and the mirror that they have to see within themselves to be in relationship that's authentic is going to feel completely dangerous. And we're all trying to find more safety in relationship, and often this means that we don't show a lot of our authenticity. We don't show a lot of our deep desires. We don't name exactly what we're seeing or feeling or intuitively experiencing, and as a result we breed more insecurity because we're not actually showing up fully. This has been coming up for me recently with this idea of like, what am I withholding? Am I overriding my own truth anywhere? Where am I overriding what I'm really feeling and getting into my head? How am I going up into my head and overriding what my heart is saying? How am I overriding my intuition? How am I overriding my adult self with my younger self, with my inner child? And so whether you lean more anxious right now, lean more avoidant right now, or experience the fearful avoidant of both, fearing the abandonment, fearing the intimacy, and also just fearing rejection, right? That's how the fearful avoidant or the disorganized shows up, is fearing rejection. And as a result, we're trying to keep the peace, and secure healthy relationship doesn't try to keep the peace, because what the truth is doing is saying, I know that this might not feel peaceful to hear this. I know that this might not even feel peaceful for me to name, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm rooted in wanting to bring more of the truth to the surface. And a big part of healthy relationship and secure attachment, in my view, is not only secure attachment and confidence in our own truth, but a deep connection to a higher power, to God, to source, to the divine. And when we are rooted in that channel, the truth needs to come through us. We cannot continue to operate in inauthenticity because God, Spirit, Source wants us to be a channel for God, Source, Spirit to move through, the Holy Spirit to move through, and not to get too spiritual or godly about this. But healthy relationship does require this deeper anchor, this anchor down below and up high, to let the truth move through us. And so you're not withholding to keep the peace if you're connected to this higher power. Yes, you're going to experience moments where the old paradigms are going to show up, and it's going to feel incredibly dangerous to speak your truth, or incredibly dangerous to not withhold, or incredibly dangerous to name what you desire in fear that it's going to be rejected, or try to turn toward somebody when everything in you says to pull away, or complete the list there, right? The list goes on and on. Our relationships show up in a myriad of ways, and a myriad of different ways in our communication, because we are maneuvering what we've been taught, what we have been role modeled, and the truth isn't always soft. The truth is honest, and honesty does hold weight, right? And so I think sometimes we think that healthy relationships should be soft, they should be light, like airy, and not have challenge. But the truth is not heavy in a weighty, like, sense, but it's heavy in a truthful sense. It's an anchor point, right? And anchors are weighted down. They hold us down. And healthy relationship means that two people have these anchor points that are they're weighted in truth. And that means that you then have more expansion into these lighter, higher states of flow and love and purity within relationship, but it has to anchor somewhere, and that means the truth mirror is going to be confronting. And to speak our truth within relationship is to illuminate more space for ourselves, to illuminate our truth, but also to illuminate more space for our partners to see more of themselves, right? To be our mirrors means I'm going to hold up the mirror and I'm going to illuminate what I see and take it with a grain of salt and let this percolate for you. But can we be each other's space to grow? And we're illuminating more space for love. We're illuminating more space for health. We're illuminating more space for God. We're illuminating more space for knowing, right? What is it mean to know thyself and to know God, to know our truth, to know our path. And at the end of the day, relationship is always going to hurt us, right? Like it doesn't mean healthy relationship doesn't hurt. Relationship is, in its nature, it is painful because there's so much power in love. There's so much power in feeling. And so when we allow ourselves to feel, we open ourselves up to hurt, right? That like polar extreme, it's like the love and the beauty also comes with pain and hurt and risk. And so we have to risk, right? There's a massive level of risk within relationship. And so we must build this like resiliency to sit with truth, to sit with pain, to sit with the uncertainty, because healthy relationship means that you're not withholding to keep the peace. You're not withholding your truth. You're not withholding the risk. You're not trying to just stay comfortable. You are stepping into the fire to illuminate yourself more fully and to ideally open more space for somebody else to show up more fully, to see themselves more fully, to allow them to see you more fully, to allow them more space within you. And so we are giving each other these moments to see different fractals of parts of ourselves we have not seen, and then we get to be discerning what feels true to me. How can I stand in more truth for myself? How can I stand in more truth for myself? Because in return, that's going to open up more space for them to be in their truth. So I hope this resonates with just one person today, and big love for your healthy, happy, secure relationships with the anchor to build more resiliency, to sit with the weight of truth, the power of truth, and sometimes the pain of truth, the pain to name our truth, the fear to name our truth, the fear to show up authentically, but also to transform our nervous system patterns, our inner child patterns to withhold the truth means that we are opening up more space, more freedom in ourselves, in our bodies, in our nervous system, in our inner child, to stand in more authenticity, more liberation, more freedom, and more alignment with what is really destined for us, what is really meant for us each and every day, which creates a ripple effect for everyone around us.